Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Solid Sports Podcast. Today is Sunday, October 13th, and I maybe just had the greatest sports weekend of my life.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good, huh?
Winning bets, winning college football games,
Yep.
advancing to the championship series in
There you go.
Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets are back tonight,
Yeah,
and the Colts won today.
there you go.
It's all going to fall apart next week.
Yeah, but that's why you momentary breaks of happiness.
Yeah, so, all right, we're going to get into everything. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get it.
We gonna make it, baby.
Rock solid. Rock solid. Rock solid. Rock solid. Rock solid sports.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the Rock Solid Sports Podcast. We are brought to you by Slove. Slove is not just Colorado's next and up-and-coming clothing brand. It is a clothing brand who aims to bring a movement globally. When you wear a Slove piece, you are not just wearing a piece of clothing. You are elevating your style and representing what love looks like. Go check them out. Great clothes, especially in time for fall. It's getting cold here now in Colorado these last couple of days. Sweatsuits, they still have them. They're brand new ones that came out a while ago. Still have them in stock. Go check them out. Get hats, whatever you want. Go follow them on Instagram at sluv.co. That is sluv.co. Or go visit their website at sluv.us. That is sluv.us. All right. Disclaimer. I'm a little under the weather. There's also just not much to talk about, I guess, in terms of the NFL. At least not as much as there is usually. So this might not be the longest episode, but we're still here to talk about college football, baseball, and NFL all happening this weekend. First, start with college football. There's a lot of great games this week. We talked about October 12th being the week of college football, and it was great.
It was awesome.
Next week also going to be great. But before we look ahead, I mean, let's talk about it first. I guess you could break down your alma mater versus your favorite team. I think we should start there.
Yeah, so Georgia did get the dub, but they did it in, Georgia fashion, where they really are big about playing down to their opponents. But also on the Mississippi State side, Michael Van Buren, the true freshman quarterback that they got over there, kind of a dog. I think he threw for over 300 yards in that game. They got a good future ahead of them with Jeff Lebby. I think in a couple years they could be pretty dangerous. I think they are one of three teams in the SEC that are averaging 30 points a game. So that'll be interesting to watch. But, yeah, Georgia, I mean, they know what they're doing, and they know what they got to get going on. I think Malachi Starks is the one who said it. We got to get better, and we got to improve because we can't keep letting this happen because, next week we play Texas and can't have just, the breakdowns keep happening. So if we just need to learn how to lock it down, find our identity a little bit. And I don't know, it's just kind of tough to watch them sometimes because you know how good they are, and then how they're playing is completely contradictory to how they're, should be playing. But I think there's visible steps moving forward that we need to attack and get better at. Our offense, I wouldn't say is the problem right now. Our offense consistently plays pretty solid other than that Kentucky game. But our defense got to lock it up, or a team like Texas could run wild. So they gotta lock it in.
I think the first thing we should start by locking in is Kirby Smart for just pushing
The game, man.
the Mississippi State quarterback.
Hey, man, he was in his way. You got to get out of the way.
I think he said he was trying to get to his defensive coordinator or something.
He definitely was.
But a great clip, nonetheless. Georgia walks away with a win over your alma mater, Mississippi State. A lot kind of drama in the SEC this weekend, I would say. I don't know if drama is the right word, but a lot of questionable games. I guess we'll start in Alabama. Barely beat South Carolina. Honestly, game could have went into overtime. So the fact that South Carolina even got that onside kick at the end of the game to even have a chance, and then they just had terrible play calling and threw the ball right to Alabama, which was stupid. They could have just played for a field goal, probably won the game. But yeah, Alabama squeaks out. They have not looked good since maybe the first half of that Georgia game.
Yeah, I was just about to say, my brother-in-law said something recently that I heard, and I've been wanting to bring it up, is I think Georgia gave the SEC the blueprint on how to beat Alabama defensively, because ever since that second half of that game, they have looked kind of pitiful in terms of what they were doing in the first half of that game. And even before the Georgia game, they didn't look good either. They had a bunch of close games with teams they shouldn't have had close games with. And then they got what I hate the most about football sometimes is they got those garbage time points when there's 5 minutes left and the other team has given up. And so it looks like you derouted them, you killed them. But you really didn't. It was a close game until about 7 minutes in the fourth, and then you just took off. So they were doing that before the Georgia game, and I think they came in hot for the Georgia game, and all of their tricks and everything they could pull out of a bag, they did in that first half. And had Georgia locked that down, Georgia probably would have had great success against them because Georgia does a lot of things. Playing down to opponent is one of them, but also playing up to opponent is one of them for sure.
You're happy, huh? Alabama looks probably the worst they've looked in since Nick Saban got hired there. This has to be a good time for you.
It is. I love it. Hey, it's always fun watching the top crumble. So,
yeah.
I mean, we've dealt with this basically our whole lives. So
It feels like it, huh?
Yeah, so I love it.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see, especially.
I think they're lacking that mentality.
Yeah,
Nick Saban.
Yeah.
The ghost of Nick Saban just isn't there in the house every day.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see going forward. They're 7 right now. I don't know if did they get bumped up this week? I don't think they did. No, they stayed at 7, and then they match up against number 11 Tennessee next week, who I believe fell a little bit after winning against
11,
Florida.
I think.
Yeah, they went to 11. What were they this week?
8.
Yeah, so they fell 3 spots. But we'll get to that game in a second. A couple other big games. Penn State down in the dumps against USC, down by, more than 28, 25 going into the second half. I think like mid-third quarter. They end up
20-6 going into half.
20-6 going into halftime. Penn State ends up coming back to beat USC in overtime, 33-30. USC, welcome to the Big Ten.
Oh, yeah.
I think 0-3 in conference, or 1-3 or 0-3 in conference. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've given us a good look forward to what they can be, and we've talked about that on the show where I think in a couple years they are going to be a pretty solid Big Ten team. But right now they are a Pac-12 team in the Big Ten, and that's just not going to work. And this is why, because you don't have the stamina to keep up with a Penn State or a Michigan. And Michigan's not that great this year, but they're Big Ten, and they're used to that level of competition that is able to push them through a whole game. USC's really not there yet, but when they do, it'll be a good program to watch. But for right now, I don't think they're quite ready to be a big dogs in the Big Ten.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this was the first weekend like some of the highest ranked team in the Big Ten went and traveled to like the USC, the UCLA for like the first time. USC traveled to like Michigan. UCLA, I think, traveled to, it might have been Penn State, but it was somewhere out east. So everybody was a little, I guess, worried on the Penn State side to see how they would come out and play, that kind of being a new thing in the Big Ten, traveling that far west. I think it's 2 time zones. I think the record for a Big Ten team traveling more like 2-hour time zones was like 2 and 8 or something like that going into this week. Penn State came out really sloppy, got the job done though in the end.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I think USC will be fine going forward, but really funny to see all the Lincoln Riley. A lot of the USC, their fans or like commentators that are high on USC were they were really flexing in the first half on Twitter, and then they just had to take back all their words after the game was over. So that was kind of funny. Quick shout out to the best team in the Big 12, BYU. We said it at the beginning of the year. We kind of joked about it when we were doing our college football preview. Hunter was like, we should just talk about BYU. And we, I think, talked about it for maybe 5 seconds. Yeah. Maybe we should have spent a little more time with them.
Yeah, no, I remember the distinct conversation about, like, we can talk about BYU, but it's going to be Utah. Utah sucks. Yeah. So, and BYU's kind of taken hold of that entire conference. And I don't know, they're looking hard to beat. BYU is the guy. So, I don't know.
That is his nickname.
Yeah, BYU. It's on their shirts that they wear. Yeah. Also, you knew it was going to be bad.
You wanted to say that during Yom Kippur. That's crazy.
I was about to say Yom Kippur. When you heard that was going on, it was going to be hard to beat that guy for sure.
Oh, yeah. What a time in – where is it? Where's BYU? No, it's not Provo, is it?
I have no idea.
I think it's Provo, Utah, right? What a time to be – I think it is Provo. What a time for Provo, Utah. Hunter was there this weekend. If we get him back on the show soon, we'll have him say how it was. He said he did tell me the environment was great. I think the 60,000 people. I didn't even know that many people lived in Utah.
Entire state.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty cool for them. They're leading the Big 12 right now. Now for the exciting games that happened all late at night after dark yesterday. I guess we'll start in Tennessee, Old Rocky Top. Yep. We'll hit the Texas one last, but Rocky Top takes down Florida after a very sloppy performance. They get it done in overtime.
Yeah, no, they've been looking sloppy these past 2 weeks with the loss to Auburn and honestly the almost loss to Florida. They just played horrible. It wasn't that Florida was playing incredible or anything. It was Tennessee was just not playing good. So that's going to push you into those overtime games with teams that you shouldn't be in overtime games with, especially Florida, who's 1-2 now in the SEC. I don't know. They're not going to be very notable throughout the rest of the year. Tennessee's got to lock it up because they're going to play Alabama. And do we know where that game is?
It's in Tennessee.
It's in Tennessee. They have a very, very good chance to win this because I do think they're the better team, but they have to lock it in and actually go into there, realize what their mistakes have been these past 2 weeks, fix them, and then get it going.
I know last week I asked you if you had any kind words for Morgan after Tennessee lost, but I guess this kind of still applies because he was happy after the win, but you could tell throughout the game it wasn't going the way he wanted to.
No, I mean, it's a rivalry game, though. That's the biggest thing. Like, you can't really – I don't know. I always feel like you can't take too much from rivalry games because they're going to go either way. But I do agree there. Don't look the best.
No.
But, I mean, big game coming up. That it's going to be – a real test.
I'd say it's technically like another rivalry that they're playing next week, right? Like Alabama's like another rival to them, so that'll be interesting. I honestly don't know how that's going to go because I was telling Morgan like you might think Tennessee's playing bad, but Alabama's not playing great at all either. So it could be evenly matched up of two teams that just don't know what the hell they're doing out there. So moving on to probably the most hyped up game of the day, probably the best game of the day, maybe the best game of the year so far. Ohio State at Oregon, number 2 in the country, going to visit Eugene, Oregon, the number 3 team in the country. Oregon Ducks, Dan Lanning, Dylan Gabriel, and all the studs they have on both ends of the ball, pull out the win against Ryan Day and Ohio State. Ryan Day has not been great at all. Let me see if I could find this stat. But what did you see from that game? I know we watched a good amount of it. What was your thoughts?
I said this when I first met up with you yesterday that I picked Oregon to win this game because I think they've been tested more. They've had closer games where they've had to really soul search and find out who they are, whereas in Ohio State's toughest game is against Iowa. So they haven't really been in any battles, and I think that's what was going to hurt them in this game. I personally said I think Oregon wins this game, but I think if they meet up again in the Big Ten Championship or the playoffs, I think Ohio State will end up winning it. But it was just a great game, and I think this is kind of hopefully building to be a huge Big Ten game every year that we look forward to watching that has huge playoff implications. So, but Ryan Day is really, really having a hard time, getting his team together, born on third, can't get home.
2-6 against AP top 5 opponents for Ryan Day in his career. Not very great, especially as the head coach of one of the best football programs in all of America. Real quick, I just want to say this to you. Sidebar, Jim Harbaugh told reporters that he left today's game due to a aerial flutter episode. What's that? Like heart? It's like his heart, right?
Yeah. One of the reporters said that he's been dealing with arrhythmia. So I'm pretty sure that's heart, right?
Yeah, I think that's his heart. Well, prayers to Jim Harbaugh,
right? Yeah.
Classic football guy.
No, I saw someone say they thought he shit himself.
Yeah, no.
I thought that was
he came out in different pants, and everybody's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, so arrhythmia is an irregular heartbeat that can cause your heart to beat too fast or too slow, or irregular.
Welcome to high altitude. It gets real here in Denver, Colorado. What a game though that was in Eugene. The crowd. What is that noise?
Oh, it's motorcycles.
Oh,
a brigade.
If you guys could hear the motorcycle brigade that is going on outside,
shake the foundation of this room.
It's shaking my head right now. No, the scene in Oregon was insane after the win yesterday. As much as I don't really like Dan Lanning as the person, it was kind of cool to see him celebrate. Jeez, that is so loud. It was cool to see him celebrate with his team. As much as I also don't like Dylan Gabriel for what he did to my Texas Longhorns last year, it was just kind of funny seeing that last drive of Ohio State coming down the field and him just not looking. And then Ohio State, what's his name? Will Howard? Will Howard, one of the stupidest plays I think I've ever seen in terms of time management.
Yeah.
Probably 7 seconds left, something like that. 6 seconds. They hiked the ball, and you're thinking they don't have any more timeouts. And no, they had one. They had one. You're right. So you're like, okay, you could throw a slant in the middle of the field. Yeah. As long as you get down right away, you don't have to go to the sideline. Yeah. Could have easily done that. Instead, he takes off, runs past the line of scrimmage, and instead of going down, like with 3 seconds left or 2 seconds left, he decided to go down with maybe half a second left, and the game ended there.
Yep.
Terrible time management by Will Howard and the Ohio State staff, being Ryan Day. That's just inexcusable.
Yeah, it can't happen,
especially for a program like them.
Especially in a moment like this. I mean, like, to be fair, as a Ohio State fan, you should be happy that this happened now, and because this would be a heartbreaker in the playoffs if you had such a mental lapse. So at least this is something that you could kind of get out of the way early in the season, so you could learn from it and kind of be like, all right, if we're in this situation again, what do we need to do? What do we need to attack them with, and how do we need to manage our time better? But, yeah, no, it was pretty bad. Also, if you looked into some of the stuff that's been going around on Twitter, Dan Lanning just kind of almost exploiting the rules with the extra
12
men
on the field. That was pretty cool.
Running the clock down and then making them only have like 4 to 6 seconds left to do anything. So it's just, I don't know, but that's got to be better on Ohio State's part to be able to get something done.
Yeah, Ryan Day got outcoached. Did you have any thoughts on this game?
Dylan Gabriel looks insane, I feel like.
He looked good. He looked good yesterday.
He's been playing. I feel like he had like one bad game. I don't remember who it was. I was just looking at it. But, no, he looks insane.
Yeah.
That's about all I got for you.
He looks good in Dan Lanning's offense. I think we don't really get, if you look back at the history of the show, not all of our takes have been the best. I think one of our best takes was that the Big Ten was going to be just very top heavy, and what do you know, the 2, 3, and 4 seeds in the country, all Big Ten schools being Penn State, Oregon, or Ohio State, and Oregon. So pat ourselves on the back for that one. That was pretty good by us. We got one right. So back to the SEC though. LSU in a barn burner beats Ole Miss in overtime after an insane game.
Yeah.
We were sweating bets over here, so it meant a little more to us. Sweating the bet, but it was cool to see LSU pretty much take down Jackson Dart and Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, no, I think it's just Ole Miss is not who we thought they were coming into the year. I think I'd still consider them a pretty solid team, but I don't know, when comparing them to the team that we thought they were coming into the year, it's like two different sides of a coin. So I don't know, but LSU is showing themselves that they can kind of get going. When the going gets tough, they can keep rolling into overtime and fighting these good teams, especially late night Death Valley. If you're not there, if they play that game during the day at Death Valley or at Ole Miss, there's probably a different outcome. But those LSU friends are like kind of crazy. So I don't know. It's a hard place to play, and Ole Miss, I just don't feel like he's ready for the moment quite yet. You can tell by just the fake injury stuff that they finally had to come talk about. They're just not ready for it. They're not ready for the big lights and the big game, because if you have to have somebody fall down to like give you help, then it seems just like a failure in game plan.
Any thoughts for you?
I don't think I watched the second of this, to be honest with you. I might have, but no thoughts from me, I guess.
I think you watched like the first half of it, but when we were like all pretty locked in, you were dealing with finding phones.
Finding phones, yeah. It was found.
Yeah, a phone was recovered.
It was.
And one was lost.
And one was lost. It was reincarnated.
Christian, if you're watching this, it's definitely off your Xbox because it's not off your phone. That's funny. What a game in Death Valley. That was awesome to watch. Just SEC is just continuing to just put out product week by week that late, early, midday, it doesn't matter. Yeah. All the games have been electric so far. And, the SEC is just – it's all the way here right now.
No, definitely. I mean, even when you look at, the top 10 right now, I'm trying to find, like, exactly the rankings. Here they go. But a lot of them are SEC teams. You got Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee's on 11. There's a ton of ranked SEC teams.
A&M.
Same thing. Yep, A&M's right there. And so it's pretty much the SEC Big Ten, which we kind of knew going into the year.
And the Big 12 is just kind of scattered throughout there.
Yeah, it's kind of just dashed in there with the BYU really being the biggest powerhouse.
Iowa State, too, number 9. I think that's what that says. How the hell are they number 9? Like, I don't think I've watched one Iowa State game today.
I think the only game I've watched is their game against Iowa.
They've beaten
us right at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, it's the only ranked opponent they've played. They beat obviously.
They must just be beating the shit out of teams, then.
North Dakota, 21-3. Iowa, 2019. Arkansas State, 52-7. Houston, 20-0. Baylor, 43-21. West Virginia, 28-16. Which I guess West Virginia is like a decent school.
I don't know. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why they're so high right now. I mean, maybe the AP voters are seeing things we aren't. So, which is probably the case.
Probably.
And, and definitely okay.
You telling me these professionals who know what they're doing know more than me? Doubt it.
The ones that get paid to do it? Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's move on to Big 12 matchup. Colorado. The Stars were out in Boulder, Colorado yesterday. Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, John Wall, Cameron, Bradley Beal, DeAndre Jordan, NBA champion DeAndre Jordan, Peyton Watson, among others.
Mm-hmm.
It was a packed house in Boulder, Colorado yesterday for number 18 ranked Kansas State at the time. I think they got moved up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep, 17.
Yep, so they got moved up one spot.
No, never mind.
But they were 18 going into the game yesterday. And honestly, Colorado, with the three like major injuries they had with Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, and then Amarion Miller, I think his name is, those three injuries, them only losing by 3 to the number 17 ranked team in the country. Pretty impressive. Yeah. Not something to hang your head about.
No, definitely, especially for where they were in that game. I think at one point it was 21-7, and they were down pretty bad
Going into half.
Yep. Yeah. And then to the chagrin of our bets, they decided they wanted to become one of the better teams in the Big 12 and roar back and almost win that game. And if it wasn't for a big drive out of Avery Johnson and the K-State Wildcats, they probably win that game. They went up really late, and I think it was
like 3 minutes left.
Yeah, and so that's all you can do. That's all you can ask for. I think I don't know if it was real. I didn't look into it enough. Did Dion say that Shedeur played horrible?
Shiloh
Played horrible.
Which Shiloh did play horrible.
He did play horrible. He was on an embarrassment tour going through that game, getting dropped to his knees, thrown over somebody's shoulder. Like, it was bad. Yeah, but they show these flashes of who they can be, and that's why I think a lot of people think that Dion might leave after this year. I don't think he should, because I think this is a team that could become very, very competitive in the Big 12, and I think we see flashes of that. So if they can keep building on that, they're already one win away from having more than they had last year. So if they can just keep going, maybe get a bowl this year.
I'd say 2 wins away from a bowl.
2 wins away from a bowl, and then you can get into that, maybe win the bowl game, bring in some good talent, start to build a little bit more of a culture around you that's not just completely centralized around your kids and your kid's friend. And then eventually, I think
their kid's friend is really good at football.
Really good. But I think if they can kind of be more of like this is our team, not this is your quarterback and this is your corner and wide receiver.
Yeah.
There you go.
Agreed.
So if they can keep building on that, I think they'll be fine. And like I said, the flashes we saw last night of it were pretty awesome. So I'm excited to see what they do in the future, and excited to see how K-State kind of rebounds. They've been kind of doing okay these past 2 weeks, but I don't know. We'll have to see in the future.
Thoughts?
You nailed it, I think, for me. To lose to 3 points after losing your 3 basically biggest offensive weapons besides your quarterback is very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they only lost to 3 points with everybody, I still think it's really good. And I think I said it when we talked about college football in the beginning of the year. This is a team that, they didn't win any games 3 years ago.
Yeah, 1-11 or something.
Yeah, I understand that everyone is very exaggerative and is going to freak out because of Dion, but I think they're playing great. For being Colorado Buffaloes football, they're doing well.
I think you're onto something too, because I was just about to say what we all just mentioned, all that stuff happening, them to only lose by 3 points. I think we have to give Deion Sanders a little bit of credit, which not a lot of people seem to do in terms of coaching. Mm-hmm. It's in terms to be recruiting, changing the culture, cool.
Yeah.
He gets credit for that, but in terms of actually coaching a football team, I think this might have been some of his best work to this point. Yeah. So I got to give credit where credit is due. Hopefully Travis Hunter can get back on the field. I don't know how serious that injury is. They don't really, in college football, they don't really it's not as quickly updated, I'd say, or public knowledge as much as it is in the NFL, which, terrible for this Lions locker room losing Aiden Hutchinson today, which we will get into, so stay tuned. Last game of college football that we will talk about, down Dallas, Texas State Fair. Number 1 team in the country versus the number 18 team in the country at the time that is now unranked. It's a beautiful sight. Texas Longhorns take down the Oklahoma Boomer Sooners in Dallas. It feels good to have the golden cowboy hat back again.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, when both these teams came into the SEC, I remember saying, I know Texas is going to mold well, and they're going to be one of the best there as soon as they get there. Oklahoma's going to take a few years to be able to get back on the saddle and kind of be able to really, really compete in the SEC, especially with a team like Texas, who is very dominant this year. But Oklahoma's not ready for the heat just yet. They'll eventually I do think get there because SEC teams always find a way to get to the point where they can compete with everybody. But once they get there, they'll be fine. But yeah, Texas, just too much for them to handle.
Ironic that you said Oklahoma was not ready for the heat because this game was played at 93 degree weather starting time, which is insane because considering it's the second week of October. Like you think it'd be at least like 85 in Texas. I know it's hot, but geez. No, it's great to see. I think the word that a lot of the reporters and college football analysts used to this morning about Texas was primed. They're primed to do something this year. Quinn Ewers looked rough to start off, but got to understand he's missed 2.5 games. Had to get his rhythm back. Once he got his rhythm, Texas kind of took off with this game. Only if they scored in the first quarter.
Yep.
A touchdown, we would have won another bet. That was sad, but yeah, it's just good to see Oklahoma and all their fans sad again, at least for the rest of this year. Because last year, obviously Texas made it to the college football playoff, but Oklahoma had the bragging rights of the Red River rivalry, and yeah, so it's great to have it back in Austin. Big game next week, which we'll talk about in a second. But did you have any thoughts on this game, or maybe these two teams in general?
I mean,
or just the Texas State Fair, if you want to talk about that.
Texas State Fair. I didn't even know that was going on. So I'm not really up to other states' state fairs. No, I mean, they beat the shit out of them. That's for sure. I just said being a rivalry and everything, you'd think it'd be a lot better of a game, but it just really shows that how good Texas is. Not even scoring a touchdown is insane. That's sad. I think Barstool, like Oklahoma, tweeted it, and they're like, "Who's scoring the first touchdown today?" And someone replied, and they're like,
that picture, grabbing the shoulder picture that's been going around. I love that. Yeah, it was great to see just the dominance of. It's just no better feeling than beating your rival that bad. But like you said, they didn't even score a touchdown.
Yeah, that's
Gotta love that part. So yeah, big matchup next week. This will be a couch divided more than it already is with an actual divider in the middle. College game day will be in Austin, Texas. Also in Austin, Texas, the Georgia Bulldogs do take on the number 1 team in the country. It will be great matchup. ABC, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Georgia versus Texas. I mean, it doesn't really get bigger than this. I guess Texas, we've had a couple challenges in the SEC, dating back to playing Alabama last year. Obviously, Oklahoma this year, a couple other teams. But this might be our biggest test in the SEC so far to this date. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a game where both teams figure out a lot about themselves, win or lose. I think if Georgia were to win, I think they would kind of realize what they need to do to kind of get to that next level and really get that done. And if Georgia is to lose, then maybe, in my head, it's kind of like, I think we can still make it to the playoffs, but maybe this isn't really our year, and we need to kind of step back, rebuild a little bit, stay in between the 5 and 10, push for next year and try to get that going. And same thing for Texas. I think Texas is, like you said, they're primed. I think they're in a good spot to get it done. I don't know how good their next year's roster will be, so it may not be as good as this, so it might be the best year to keep going.
Got to take advantage of it.
You got to take advantage while you got that heat, and got to keep pushing. So I think we're going to figure out a lot about both teams. I could see both teams winning just as easily, and I think it's going to be a barn burner. I think Texas has the edge probably just by being at home.
3.5.
Yep. And then Georgia, it really depends on what Georgia you get. If you get the Georgia who beat Clemson and you get the Georgia who's the second half against Bama, this should be
totally different games.
2 totally different games. This could definitely be a barn burner that goes all the way to the end. So I'm excited to watch it. Not going to be too high or low depending on what happens, but it'll be a fun game to watch.
Want to call your shot right now?
If Georgia comes out and plays like they can, I got to take Georgia.
Thoughts and predictions for the game?
It's going to be a good one, that's for sure. I mean, number 1?
Versus number 5.
Versus number 5. I mean, and that's just the rankings, obviously. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to watch you boys battle. But, I don't know. The way Georgia's played the last 2 weeks, obviously, is worrisome, and that's the thing that's lingering in my mind. And the way Texas has looked the entire year is the same. So my biggest thing about that is just, Texas is real consistent, and it's hard right now not to pick the number 1 team. It's going to be a good game, though, I think.
Yeah. Texas, would you say they cover 3.5 points?
I was going to say 3.5 is a good line. I don't know. I want to
That's
say
a
like,
good line.
it's like a 4-point game. I want
Yeah.
to say like
You-
I
you
think it's
want-
less than a
you-
touchdown.
You want it to be like Texas by field goal, but then they don't cover or something like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good line they did.
It is. They
Vegas,
killed it.
God, Vegas,
They know.
you're good. You're good. Next week we're gonna be watching together. I'm gonna get off work. I'm gonna meet you. We're gonna go to Charlie's.
Off of Charlie's.
Actually, we can't. We should not dox that, but blank that out. No, I'm just kidding.
We're gonna be crowded,
yeah.
flooding, waiting for the Rock Solid podcast to show
No,
up.
not that. But we're gonna be there. I'm gonna be in a Georgia bar wearing all Texas stuff. It's gonna be excited. Maybe get some content videos for this.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out.
It's Joey getting in a fight.
No, not like that. Just I'm gonna root extra hard. Like if Texas scores, it's gonna be silent in this bar besides Joey yelling. So it's gonna be fun. And then if Texas wins, drinks are on you. If Georgia wins, drinks are on me.
Sure.
Okay, and I'm gonna call my shot. Texas wins by a touchdown. Fuck the 3.5 points. Give us 7. Quinn Ewers is back. He got his rhythm. We're gonna start off good this time. We haven't started off good in a game in a very long time. It feels like this whole year. So primed. I think primed is the perfect word to describe this Texas team so far in the year.
Mm-hmm.
And can you not believe it's already week 8 next week?
It is crazy.
Crazy. We're almost done.
And week 7 in the NFL next week, week 8 next week in college football is insane. Also next week, Tennessee, Alabama. Battle of, God, what's the country artist names? Megan Maroney as a song.
Yep.
And then what's the other one? There's another. Morgan Wallen has a song, I think, too. Something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama versus Tennessee in Tennessee, in Knoxville. I was trying to think, where the hell's their campus? In Knoxville. What's your thoughts going into this week's game? And who do you have coming out of it? Alabama, 2.5 point favorites on the road.
I think that Alabama's been struggling, and I don't know if right now Kalen DeBoer has the ability right now to get this team in line, because how I was been explaining it is he's always been a winner, but he's also always been a winner in places where it's chip on shoulder, underdog mentality, like gotta fight to get into these spots. And now he's kind of coaching a team where it's Lamborghini NIL deals. These guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars off the field. They're trying to just honestly preserve themselves for the NFL to when they get there. So it's a different level of coaching that I feel like needs to take place, that I feel like he will learn, but I don't think he's learned it yet, and I don't think he's going to really be able to get this team back on their feet this year. Whereas in Tennessee, I think he's a really, really good team who's kind of just stepped back a little bit, and I think they're going to regain that. So I do have Tennessee winning. They could win big against Alabama, especially in Knoxville. So I'm excited to watch it and excited to see how it goes, but I'm pretty sure that Tennessee is going to be able to handle themselves and get a good dub.
I do agree with a lot of things you said, especially talking about like the culture and the coaching around Alabama right now. But with that being said, I'm still going to take Alabama on the road. 2.5, I think, is a good line. I could see them winning by a field goal, or like Tennessee, them being up by 1 and Tennessee missing a field goal, or them being down by 2 and making a field goal. So like I think the 2.5 point spread is perfect. I do think Alabama goes into Tennessee and beats them though, because if I do remember correctly, Hendon Hooker was the last quarterback at Tennessee to beat that Alabama team, and that's when they threw the goalpost in the Cumberland River, and not off the top of whoever's bar that was that Morgan Wallen threw the chair off of. Yeah. You heard that one. But I'm still going to take Alabama. I think it's going to be an exciting game. 1:30 p.m. kickoff time. Perfect for the middle of the day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, the SEC just keeps pushing out great products. I think this is going to be one of them. I'm excited to see Morgan's reaction to that game. I have a couple Alabama fans south of here in Colorado Springs, so I think I'm excited to see their reactions as well, whether they win or lose, because I know if they win, they're going to be riding really high, but then, you can turn around and lose to Vanderbilt next week. Speaking of, real quick, Texas has the possibility to do something really funny. Alabama, a couple weeks ago, beats Georgia. Then they play Vanderbilt. They lose as the number 1 team in the country. Texas plays Georgia this week. Following week plays Vanderbilt. Yeah, Vanderbilt has an opportunity to do something insane.
Yeah, no,
if they beat 2 number 1 teams in the country, granted we have to beat Georgia to stay number 1 in the country going into that week. If Vanderbilt does that, we got to look into Vanderbilt. Yeah,
Georgia would turn into the Silver Surfer, and Vanderbilt would be Galactus.
Yeah.
So I mean,
New Mexico State alum, Diego Pavia.
Diego Pavia.
But I think if Alabama loses this week, I think this is the week where they drop. Yeah. I think they probably drop out of the top 15, in my personal opinion. They've been kind of hanging on barely. They're this close away from losing to South Carolina, which would have jumped them down to probably about
10.
18.
Yeah, I would say anywhere past 10.
Yeah, I think honestly past 15, I think they would have really dropped out. But they're hanging on for dear life. They're going to have to realistically win every single game for the rest of the season to make the playoffs. I think not even thinking about SEC championships at this point. Like they need to worry about just making the playoffs. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how they react. They're such a good team, but for some reason, like they just fold. And I think it maybe is one of those things where they do play down to their competition, somewhat like Georgia. But whereas Georgia, a lot of the time, is able to bounce back and win the game, Alabama doesn't have the leadership and mentorship of DeBoer just quite yet to really overcome that. And so I think that's what their issue has kind of been. So I'm interested to see how they attack Tennessee, because this might be one of the games where they come in actually playing up to somebody and like really have a game plan. So maybe that has something to do with it, but I guess we'll see.
You can't see him, but you could probably still hear him.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me.
Yeah, we could definitely hear him. But Caden, do you have any thoughts on this Alabama-Tennessee game? His camera is having a little bit troubles right now. Maybe he just shut it off on purpose so it makes it easier for editing, which I don't blame him. But
I think he kind of have.
Yeah, thoughts on the Alabama-Tennessee game?
I agree with what you said. If they lose this game, that they're probably getting bounced out, and we're gonna have to have some real conversations about this Alabama team. This is year one, right, without Saban?
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like you can't. I don't want to blame. I'm not blaming anything. We don't want to say that. It's still a top 10 team in the country, but I think he just had so much impact on that program, school, and everything that it's going to be tough to find an identity outside of Nick Saban.
Yeah.
So I think that obviously we're 6 games in. They're doing fine without him, but it's just not the Alabama that we, like we said earlier, have seen our whole lives.
Isn't the field already named Nick Saban Field?
Yeah, they literally like the day left. I feel like yeah, that's what it is.
And he still has like his
Brian Denny Stadium,
and he still has like his own office in the building or clubhouse, whatever, field house, whatever they call it.
Yeah, statue out front.
Yeah, so I
mean,
mean,
I get it.
The culture's like I see what you're saying though. The culture's still there, but it's gonna be hard to find something that's an on-field product
Exactly.
that tops that culture.
Exactly.
That can be different,
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. All right, I think that's good for college football this week. A couple other things happened over the weekend. Major League Baseball. Real quick, when I mentioned at the beginning of this episode that this was one of the best sports weeks of my life. Number one team in the country, Texas, beats their rival, the Dodgers, who are about to play right now in about 4 minutes. Obviously, you see I'm repping today. Game 1 against the Mets in the NLCS. We advanced. We beat the little brother Padres. Gosh, I don't know who I was telling this the other day. I think it was you. I really hate nobody on the Padres besides Tatis, Machado, and Profar. Other than that, the rest of their team does not bother me at all.
Yeah.
They probably have some cool guys.
Yeah.
Their manager, Mike Schilt, cool guy. Those 3 people just ruin it for me. So I'm so happy that they're out of the playoffs and that they'll never see a World Series a day in their life just because of how they acted in this series. Obviously, our fans, our manager, our players, sometimes just as annoying. But when you win, you move on. You can talk shit and say our annoying at least is paying off in the win category.
Yep.
At least this year. So I sent out my speech Sunday morning.
Yep.
Or was it Saturday morning? Yeah. I sent out my speech to the boys Saturday morning or Friday morning. I don't know, whatever day
It
it
was Friday because I got it when I was at work.
Yes, Friday morning to give the boys a hype up speech on what the Dodgers were going to do that night. Yoshinobu Yamamoto shoved against the Padres. The bullpen came in and shoved, and the guys, the Hernandez brothers, they're not actually related, but Teoscar and Kike Hernandez provide the 2 solo shot home runs to advance over the Padres. But now we look forward, literally, if you look in front of us, we look forward to the 2024 NLCS against the New York Mets. Predictions for this series, what's going to be the difference for both teams, and what's your thoughts?
So I think that the Mets are on a really, really hot run, and I think they are just beating a very, very good Phillies team. I think if there's any time that they could beat the Dodgers.
Hey, real quick, fuck the Phillies. Sorry, I just want to throw that in. Go ahead.
Sure. I agree. But if there's a time where the Dodgers could get, kind of shaky, it's right now against these guys because they've been playing really, really good. I do think the Dodgers win this series, but I do think it may go to 6 or 7. Depending. So I don't know. The Mets are really, really hot. There's not much more to say about them because at any moment they could become the Mets they were in the middle of the season. and
The Hawks who are Mets.
yeah, the Hawks who are Mets get absolutely slammed and a sweep or a
And
gentleman
spit
sweep by
on,
the
yeah.
Dodgers. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But right now, I still got the Dodgers winning in 6.
And who are the X factors for both teams? Obviously, we know the guys on door, Pete Alonso, Shohei, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the X factor in this series that changes the series for, in your case, the Dodgers?
Mookie. I think Mookie has to show up. I think he's been kind of a non-factor these past couple of years with how he's been
Besides
playing.
the last 3 games, yes.
Yeah. But like,
100%.
and talking about like in these championship series, I think he's got to step up when he comes around in that lineup. He's got to be ready to go. You're going to get consistency from a lot of guys on that lineup. With Freddie and the Hernandezes. Yeah, that's how you say that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Mookie's got to be able to be the star that everyone knows he can be, and I think if he is, I think they're going to be fine.
Same question over there.
I think
To the invisible man.
I think the biggest thing is that sticks out to me is the Mets get hot at the end of the game, and I think that you said it all year too. That's your most like shaky position is your bullpen. So
In the regular season, they've been great in this playoffs.
yeah. So I mean, I think it's going to be a good series. I agree with what you said. If the Dodgers are going to lose, I feel like it's going to be to the team that's very hot right now, which is the Mets. 6 or 7. I agree. I don't think I really have anything to add. That was it. 6 or 7. Like I think the bullpen is going to be your key factor. I don't know if it's going to be anybody specific, but
I agree.
yeah.
I'll take Dodgers in 5. Realistically, it's probably going to be like 6 if we do win. But just to change it up, play devil's advocate here. I think I had a vision the other day. Not really. Like when I say I have a vision, I kind of just overthink stuff. Yeah. And I was like, I think I'm going to overthink this. I think we're going to win the first 2 games at home. I hope we should with the throwing out Jack Flaherty, and I think we'll have Walker Buehler in front of the home crowd tomorrow. By the way, the game's at 2 p.m. Mountain Time on a Monday.
So
The NLCS, we talked about this earlier.
It's terrible.
What is baseball doing?
I don't know.
Like this episode will come out probably right after, like on either Tuesday morning or whatever. But like so the game or 2 games will already be over. But what are we doing at 2 p.m. on a Monday at Mountain Time? Like that's 1 p.m. in California on a Monday.
People are working.
Yeah, well, at least they're supposed to.
They were working.
Yeah, they
Not
were.
anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. They're going to the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll take Dodgers in 5. I think we're going to win the first 2. I think we'll split 1 on the road and then just back in Dodger Stadium, game 5. I think we'll throw out our best arm, probably be Jack Flaherty again, if not Yamamoto, depending on where we are in the schedule. I saw a lot from those last 3 games. It's something I haven't seen from the Dodgers in 2 years in the postseason. A team that was resilient. When things went wrong the last 2 or 3 years, they kind of just shut down. I think this dates all the way back to the 2021 NLCS against the Atlanta Braves when the Braves beat us in 6. It felt different this time around, and maybe it doesn't even account really for Shohei because he didn't really play great in that last series. But the bullpen just came in, stepped up. Starting pitchers, once they were locked in, they played so great, especially Yamamoto in that last game. The middle to the back of our lineup has been awesome, which I heard a lot of people when they talked about the Phillies, it was just that whole back of the lineup just couldn't get anything going. Yeah. For the Dodgers, that's been our huge key. Like we have 3 MVPs. Shohei didn't do great. Mookie played awesome in that last series. Freddie's hurt. Like he's struggling out there, but he's still playing. Like he's fighting. But it's the back of our lineup. The Gavin Luxes of the world, the Will Smiths of the world, the Hernandezes. No Aaron. Like they're great. They're hitting bombs. Like it's just awesome to see how much emotion this team's playing with, and that's something I think has been away from the team these last couple of years. With that being said, I think the X factor this series will be Max Muncy. He got pushed back in the lineup. He was hitting 5 in the 5th spot, and now he's hitting the 6th spot tonight. He didn't really have a great series. He had 1 home run, like 1 extra base hit, maybe 1 single as well. He needs to get back to his plate discipline that he's really good at. And if he gets heated up in that middle of that lineup and then the back of our lineup continues to do what they're doing, I just don't think there's any holes. No. So I think Max Muncy's going to be the key, and he used to be a playoff riser, so I'm hoping he just gets a little bit of those juices back. And on the other side, Francisco Lindor is great. Yep. This Mets team has been amazing. I'm a little worried about their pitching staff, how good they're going to be against us because they've been great up to this point in the postseason. But at the end of the day, the Mets are always the Mets. Yeah. And I'm hoping, as much as I've been cheering for them this year and rooting for them, I'm hoping they do fall back to the old Mets. So that's the goal. We will move over to the ALCS real quick. Thoughts against Guardians versus Yankees, Evil Empire versus the state of Ohio. I think both lose here. What's your thoughts going into that series? X factors. I think we all are going to pick the Yankees, I imagine.
Yeah.
But
But I don't think it's going to be a very easy series for the Yankees at all.
No, I don't think so either.
Depending on how that series go, how this series go, there could be a very distinct edge going into the World Series because of how the other series went. I think this one is another one that could go 6-7. I think the Yankees are, kind of like Texas, primed to win the World Series. If there was a year they're going to win it, it's got to be this year against
or next,
But yeah, I mean, you got two teams, LA and New York, who are primed to win it this year. And so I think that's going to push these teams who are just kind of on a different level to kind of go there. Juan Soto's got to do better in terms of hitting the ball. He walks a lot. So shout out David for that knowledge. I didn't really pay attention too much to the Yankees baseball, so he filled me in there. But yeah, just walking too much instead of hitting the ball when you're getting paid $500 million to go in there and do. So I don't know. I think he's going to be a big factor in it, but I think that the Guardians. Sorry, I had to stop to make sure I said Guardians.
The Cleveland Indians.
Yep.
The Washington Redskins.
They got a lot of fight in them, and so I'm excited to see how the series goes, but I do think Yankees win in 6.
For you?
I think the biggest thing this comes down to is I don't know if the Guardians have enough batting power to hang on with the Yankees pitching staff. That's my biggest thing. But, I mean, like you said, I do think the Yankees are going to win it. I don't... This is just gleaming in my head. You see the picture of Josh Naylor drinking that beer?
Yeah.
He is huge. I just can't stop thinking about it.
Someone at Patrick Mahomes, 35.
Yeah. Bro, he's ginormous. But besides that, I think it's going to be a quick series. I don't know if we're going 6 or 7. I think the Yankees are also kind of hot right now. I think they're riding that wave. They haven't done something like this, I feel like, in a while. So I think I'm going to go Yankees in 5. I'm going to give them 5.
This is the first time I think the Yankees have been back to the ALCS and not played the Houston Astros in God knows how many years.
Yeah.
And I know they're feeling it right now. Stanton coming off the series he had. You still have Juan Soto, who he can play better than he has, and he hasn't even played that bad. If that one guy in their lineup, their captain, the guy they signed to, what was it, almost like $1 billion? Not, I don't think it was that much, but it's like $500-600 million, something like that. If that guy rises, all rise, Aaron Judge. If Aaron Judge can step up in this series, I don't think this goes past 4, to be honest with you. Cleveland's good. I've been backing Cleveland all year since we've talked about them, even off camera. Like, I've been a fan of what they've been doing. I'm a fan of their pitching staff. I'm a fan of I was gonna forget his name, and I'll be like, how would I be a fan if I forgot his name? Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan. Like, I'm a fan of their lineup. Josh Naylor, Bo Naylor, if he's even still on the roster, his brother. But I'm a fan of a lot of their players, and their pitching staff is just it's awesome to watch how good and how deep they are, especially having one of the best closers in the game in Emmanuel Clase there too. With that being said, I think the Yankees, baseball is a weird sport.
Yeah,
it's a sport that a lot of confidence, momentum, a lot of like emotional factors I think go into these games rather than it's a mindset thing. It's like when you go up to the plate, are you ready to hit? Are you confident to hit? Do you feel like you're going to be the good at bat in your lineup? You know what I mean? With that being said, I think the Yankees they feel better than they felt since 2008, 2009, whenever they won their last one. I think it was 2009. Sorry, Phillies fans, that was 2008. Actually, no, fuck you guys. Fuck the Phillies fans. But I think they're just in a very good mental like headspace right now, and that is my reasoning of why I would say Yankees in 4. But that all relies on Aaron Judge. If Aaron Judge shows up and plays like the way he's been playing, this might go to 5, 6, 7 with the way Cleveland can pitch. But if Aaron Judge pulls his head out of his ass and stops striking out, then they're going to be fine. And I hope they do make it to the World Series, because if that's the case, 1, we won't have to see a team from Ohio win anything, so pretty cool. 2, it will be either New York versus New York, Subway Series in the World Series, which New Yorkers are probably dreaming of that and dreading it at the same
Yeah.
time because of how hell getting to work and anywhere else in that city would be that week. Or Yankees versus Dodgers, which would be New York versus LA, West Coast versus East Coast, Biggie versus Tupac, you know.
Hitler versus Stalin.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of our old time rivalries.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. It's gonna be, if the Yankees make it in, it's to the World Series, which I hope they do. It's gonna be special for baseball because whether they play LA or New York, this World Series is gonna be bigger than the last 3 or 4, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't
probably.
maybe since like the Cubs have been in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe like 2019, that was the Nationals. 2018, Red Sox, I think. Like maybe since then, like I'm not really. The Dodgers were obviously in 2020, but like that was COVID. The Braves, they played the Astros.
Yep.
As good as that was for real baseball fans, the casual baseball fan didn't know how good of a matchup that was.
Yep.
The casual baseball fan's going to see New York versus New York or LA versus New York, and they're going to tune in. And I think it's going to be special for the sport.
Yep.
I'm a huge baseball advocate. Everybody, you know, especially our age, people that aren't into baseball, you say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go watch this game, blah blah blah. They're like, oh, you watch baseball? I'm like, yeah. Postseason baseball is the best and worst thing to watch if you have a team in the race.
Yep.
All my fingernails are gone, and it's been the most stressful thing, but it's so electric. I think that's one of the biggest pluses for baseball in the postseason. Is I think that's the difference between most of the sports is. There's a distinct level of change in the games from the postseason to the regular season, which in the NBA, like it's sort of similar. Like if it's a big matchup, NFL, like if it's division rivals, kind of feels like a playoff game anyway. You know what I mean? So like, but baseball, you could tell. So
Yeah.
I think it's special. Give me Yankees in 4 if Aaron Judge steps up. All right. Anything else baseball related before we get into the NFL?
Just hoping for some good series and hoping some good baseball and some, maybe some memories.
Well, Jackson's going to talk to you about Verb Energy bars, and then on the other side, we are going to hit the NFL just like Shohei's about to hit this ball out. ESPN notification. That'd have been cool. All right, we'll see you guys on the other side.
Verb Energy bars give you that extra boost that you need in the morning. They have an assortment of different types of bars, whether it's from caffeinated bars for the morning, as well as protein bars, whether in the morning or after your workouts. My personal favorite right now is the chocolate chip banana bread. It's awesome. Helps me get through the day, through the podcast, also through the work throughout the week. So right now, if you go onto their website, use code ROCKSOLID, you can get 30% off your next order. Verb Energy is the best way to start your day. Go check them out.
Welcome back to the second half of the show. Shohei did not hit that home run. He actually grounded out, so that was great. Let's talk about the NFL Week 6. A lot of good games, a lot of bad games. We're just gonna speed through most of these, to be honest with you. I guess where do you guys want to start? I guess we start in London, or do we start with Thursday Night Football? Thursday Night Football this week was 49ers Seahawks. Seahawks got their asses beat by the 49ers. Brock Purdy looked great. Geno Smith's in it.
Yep.
I think that recaps the whole game.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
George
I
Kittle, 2
was
touchdowns.
expecting it to be a little bit
George
better
Kittle.
of a game beforehand, but it kind of just was 49ers all the way.
I think it was Kyle Shanahan mostly just out coaching Michael McDonald too.
Also, I think we need to do an in-depth investigation on how they're breeding these fucking running backs in San Francisco. They're like, oh,
It's
our
insane.
fifth string? Put him out there. He's going to run for 100 yards and get a touchdown.
I will get down to that bottom of the investigation right now and tell you that it's just Kyle Shanahan's offense. It's like it's literally so impressive that they could just throw in any running back and they are.
It just works.
It works like perfectly, and that goes all the way back to Mike Shanahan coaching Terrell Davis, MVP here in Denver. So, the Shanahan's run deep, and I think that was the story of the game. I think Kyle Shanahan just
They run
outcoached.
deeper than that too. Kubiak,
Yeah.
his kid is on that squad too.
Yep, Clint Kubiak.
Yeah, Denver Broncos actually, it's the reason for football today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
We-
Mike Shanahan might be. I listened to a podcast. It was Pardon My Take, but I forget who they interviewed. It was some NFL reporter that just like released a book, and he talks about like stories with like Peyton Manning and stuff. And the stories are insane. I want you guys to listen to this when you guys have time. The stories of how deep the Shanahan like tree runs in like football today is insane. Obviously, we all know Mike McDaniels, Kyle Shanahan, Robert Salah, who just got fired by the Jets. I don't think we have any Jets fans listen to this, but haha.
Poor guy.
There's many more. I mean, there's that picture of the Washington Redskins at the time.
Yep.
Their coaching staff in like 2016, 17, whenever they had RG3, their whole staff, Sean McVay, like their whole staff is just full of current NFL head coaches that are great. and Mike McDaniels. So
Mike Shanahan might be the greatest coach of all time, and not even for a football team, for coaching coaches.
yeah, for just breeding good coaches.
Yeah.
Like, it's honestly really impressive. So maybe one day we should just break down that. Like,
Mike
we have
Shanahan.
nothing to talk about. We should just break down all of Mike Shanahan's how his history is bred into the NFL today. But with that being said, we'll go into London, where Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears beat the shit out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Doug Peterson might not leave London with a job.
No.
Considering next week, they're staying in London all this week.
Which I think is bullshit, by the way. I think
Yeah.
they take advantage of the jet lag of the other teams. They'll probably end up winning next week, depending on who they play.
They're playing the Patriots.
They're
They
gonna
should win anyway.
Yeah.
Drake May looked all right today.
What, 3 touchdowns?
We'll get into that in a second. But yes, Doug Peterson might not be leaving. If they lose to the Patriots, Doug Peterson is not going to have a job.
Yeah.
No.
And he might not have a flight that's already paid for back to the United States
No.
on a very good private jet. But obviously we were mostly asleep waking up at this time because it starts at 7:30 local time for us. But what did you think of the game? I mean, I know you probably didn't watch it, but just looking at the stats, Caleb Williams 4 touchdowns today. Could have had 5, but they called one back. He's looking great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of this does come down to the Jaguars kind of just not being very good, but also a part of it, which should scare a lot of the NFL, is Caleb Williams starting to find his groove, which is, I think, what people were kind of hoping he wasn't going to do his rookie year, starting to happen. And if he can get into his groove with the receivers and the weapons he's got on offense and how good their defense is, it's going to be a serious issue for a lot of teams in the NFC North. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they keep this groove going. But, yeah, I think it just comes down to the Jaguars aren't very good, and Caleb Williams and the Bears are starting to get their groove.
Yeah, he looked amazing. I mean, Keenan Allen breakout game too. He hasn't really done anything. He's also been pretty hurt, so I can't really say that. But yeah, I mean, the Jaguars though look terrible. I did not expect them to come out and look this bad. It's terrible to watch. Like I don't even want to watch Jaguars games.
No, it's bad.
It's really bad.
And the fact that they're making us do it again at 7:30 in the morning next week
Maybe
against
it's on
the other
purpose.
worst team in the NFL is it's mean.
They're like, it's so early that no one's gonna watch. We'll just save them.
Yeah.
Just save their eyes.
I feel bad for the people that live in London. Not only because they live in London and not the greatest country on earth, but because we're sending teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars over there to consistently play games. Quick shout out to Cole Kmet. I think he caught 2 touchdowns today, at least one, I know for sure. He was also the long snapper today because their long snapper got hurt.
That's insane.
Wow.
Ultimate football guy, Cole Kmet. I think we just got to mention that first. Let me see if Mookie runs on this. Oh, he stopped. Oh, he could have made it. Great. Key to the game. Max Muncy coming up. Bases loaded. 2 outs. Grand salami here.
Did you get the call?
I might have got the ESPN notification, boys. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, shout out to Cole Kmet, ultimate football guy. Just awesome that he gets to go play long snap. He's playing like you are when you're a little kid, where you get to just play like multiple positions. Yeah, pretty cool. So shout out to Cole Kmet, and yeah, shout out the Bears. They look good. 4-2. Like the Bears look like a good football team. And I think from week 1 or week 2, whenever they had that first primetime game of them playing against C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans, I think we all watched that together, and we all kind of saw the offensive line for the Bears be really shaky, and Caleb Williams kind of who scored the first touchdown?
Joe Burrow
Joe
just
Burrow
47 yards.
47-yard run.
I was literally looking it up because I was like, why does he have 57 yards already?
I saw it because I saw the score go up, and I was looking at it, and I was like, you got to be shitting me.
Joe Burrow.
47-yard rushing touchdown.
That's great for my fantasy purposes. But yeah, like I said, I think we kind of all saw the Bears' offensive line be terrible start the year off, and since then they've looked great. DeAndre Swift is picking it up. The Bears, like we said earlier, the Keenan Allen, all their receivers and tight ends are starting to get more involved and look great around Caleb. So, like you said, could be scary for the NFL and the NFC North especially. All right, we'll move on to Nashville, Tennessee, where my Indianapolis Colts, what a great weekend, beat the Tennessee Titans and Will Levis. Will Levis injured a ball boy today, and I think he should be persecuted for that.
Yep, and then he did the Spider-Man thing.
Yep.
And before snapping that guy's leg in half. So he's just probably just the most whatever quarterback in the NFL right now.
He's just a piece of shit, huh?
He really is. How could you do the Spider-Man thing? I was like, how you doing that, bro? You're so bad. You should not celebrate anything.
No.
You should be praying. Completed pass, thank you, God.
Max Muncy comes through.
Can bring 2 in.
I mean, like these predictions can't get any better. This is live coverage right now. What I just told you is what's happening right now. You guys think this is pre-recorded? It's not. Okay. But anyway, yes, Colts beat Tennessee. Any thoughts on this game? For me, I've been pretty down on the Colts recently. I don't think we look very good. But obviously, you bring in Joe Flacco, and you feel like you have a chance, maybe even a better chance.
Yeah.
Don't want to get too in depth to that right now, but. It's just awesome to see. So any thoughts on this game and these two teams going forward?
I don't know. You don't want to beat the Tennessee Titans by only 3 points. That's for sure.
On the road, though, against
a
divisional opponent.
No, yeah, I agree with everything. Yeah. But, I mean, Colts are finding a groove. Joe Flacco's looking really good. Do you think Anthony Richardson comes back? Did they even win a game with Anthony Richardson? Or y'all lost 2, right? He's been out, and now y'all have won 2?
I think we won 1 with Anthony Richardson against the Bears.
And Joe Flacco's 2-0?
2-1. Or 1-1.
1-1?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you guys lost. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, he looks good, though. The Titans, terrible. Them and the Jaguars.
Yep.
What a terrible division. Oh, my God.
See how we start off the episode of saying that we gave ourselves one pat on the back for a good take. One of my takes at the beginning of the year was that the AFC South was going to be good. Holy shit, was I wrong? Oh, my gosh, this division stinks. The fact that the Colts are maybe the second best team in the division is sad because we are not a good football team. Our defense is horrendous. Our running backs outside of Jonathan Taylor, horrendous. Shane Steichen, good coach. Our defense coordinator, Gus Bradley, horrendous. I don't know.
Jim Bob
Cooter, offense coordinator.
Legend.
Just because his name's Jim Bob Cooter, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yep.
So we'll move on from that game. Shout out the Colts for making my weekend even better, even though they didn't need to, but they did. And shout out to them for that. Who do we play next week? Just look forward to one thing. We play the Dolphins, whose quarterback's dead. So maybe we might win that game too. So don't let the Colts get hot. All right, move into Foxborough.
Yeah.
New England. Drake May, rookie, number 2 overall. No, third overall pick. Drake May, former quarterback of the North Carolina Tar Heels, now quarterback of the New England Patriots, gets his first start against the Houston Texans. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Why the hell would they throw him to the fire against a 5-1 Houston Texans team that's pretty fucking good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, he looked pretty solid, 243, 3 touchdowns.
He looks good, but I just feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially just the Patriots. I mean, he's in for a very thick rebuild. That's going to take a couple years probably for them to get back up to being able to really compete with people like the Texans. But it is probably, it sucks to get beat 41-21, obviously. But it is nice to be like this, your quarterback that you took with the 3rd pick to come out and play pretty solid. So that's exciting for the Patriots fans, but I don't know. I don't think the Patriots fans also expect anything out of this team this year, especially against a team like the Texans who could go to the Super Bowl this year. So yeah, I'm excited to see how Drake May's career continues and if the Texans can keep this kind of like pouncing streak they're doing.
If anything, I think this was perfect for the Patriots. I mean, you saw your quarterback show flashes that you drafted, like you just mentioned, but you also lost, and you want to keep losing so you can get a better pick in the draft.
Yep.
And another win for them today. Their jerseys were awesome.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. Any thoughts on the game?
Going back to being an Alabama hater, we're just watching another empire crumble, and it's magnificent. I love it. I hate the Patriots as well, probably more than I hate Alabama. But like you said, for Drake to come out
rightfully so too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Drake to come out, look good. It was good for Pats fans. That's probably the only good thing that you have.
And the jerseys.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, I'll give him that. I do like those jerseys. But I don't know. I think it's exactly what everyone expected to happen.
Good news. Any Patriots fans that listen to this, the NBA starts next week, and you're defending reigning champion Boston Celtics to start back up. I know your Red Sox are out of it. Boston Bruins just started up again, so not a bad. There's never a bad time for Boston sports.
Yeah,
and I think today it might be a tide changer. Obviously, you hope the Patriots, if you're a fan, I think you hope they still lose games, just to conserve a good pick in the draft. But a tide change in terms of the morale's going to go up.
Yeah.
Drake May looks good. Season's changing, getting that Boston grit of just hating life and hating people and being the worst fucking person ever. And you get to watch your Celtics and Bruins while doing that. So got a good feeling for people in Boston and Mark Wahlberg. So, all right. One of the games that was supposed to be the game of the week, it took the over, I think, on this, and it did not hit. Lamar Jackson versus Lamar Jackson Jr., Jaden Daniels. The Baltimore Ravens beat the Washington Commanders 30-23. Commanders, I guess technically this was like their big first test.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
No, not at all. I think this was a kind of a moment for the Commanders to find out, okay, are we really, a high-tier team this year, or are we kind of lower and we've just been kind of on a roll? I think they figured out this week that they are a mid to high-tier team in the NFL currently right now, leaning more towards the high tier. The Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL right now, and they gave them a run for their money. I think it's one of those things where Commanders have a lot of fight. And I think the Ravens, not that they don't have fight, but they probably are a little bit more comfortable when they get up by a certain amount to kind of let off the gas a little bit. Whereas in the Commanders, I feel like really push the gas the entire game. So I'm interested to see how the rest of their season will go. I think the Commanders are on a fast track to win their division if they can keep kind of playing how they've been playing. We'll see if they can keep that grit and that push for the whole year. Ravens are the Ravens. We'll see them in the playoffs. That's what's going to matter for them. So, interested to see how both their seasons go.
Has your Friscometer raised any for this Washington Commanders
The Washington Commanders team, I think I gave them a 7-3. After this win, they're going to solid 8 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Daniels solidifying himself as being amazing, which, like you said, is probably his first real test against a real team, a real good defense too. They're coming out. And they're surprising everyone, that's for sure. I mean, especially with the supporting cast behind them is not the greatest, and they're still out here winning games and making everyone look. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got.
And the way the rest of their divisions looked, I mean, wide open. The Cowboys. We'll talk about the Cowboys and Eagles. Obviously, the Giants are playing right now, but that division's wide open, and the Commanders have a chance to take it. All right, we finally got to the part of the slate where we can just skip over and not talk about these games a lot. The Eagles, congrats. You guys beat a rapist that's terrible at football.
Yep, pretty much.
And Nick Sirianni yelled at your own fans.
Yep.
You guys are the worst people on earth, Philadelphia sports fans. Yeah, that sums up that game. Any thoughts?
Much, yeah.
Nope.
Okay, if you guys need to say anything, just chime in.
I will.
The Packers beat the shit out of the Cardinals. Jordan Love looked great. Josh Jacobs still has not scored a receiving touchdown in his whole career. I've been betting on that every week since I found the stat out. It's starting to get really. I just keep losing.
No, I'm sure.
Kyler Murray didn't look great. Marvin Harrison Jr. went out with a concussion, and
the Cardinals are the most confusing team in the NFL.
Yep.
Okay. Buccaneers beat the Saints in a division rival game in New Orleans.
Yeah,
Somehow
Falcons didn't have an issue with either of them.
Baker had so many turnovers, but he also he played great.
Yeah, gave me 33 in fantasy.
Yeah, he looked great.
three interceptions, and still get 33 points. It's crazy.
It's awesome, huh? Chris Godwin played a great game. Mike Evans, still historic, but he's still – I think it's one of those things when you're trying to get your 500th or 500th home run in baseball where you're just trying to – it was Jamal Murray trying to become the Nuggets' all-time three-point leader.
Yeah,
it took him 3 games to do it. He just couldn't make a shot.
Not make a 3-pointer.
I think it was just in the back of his mind. Mike Evans is 40 yards away from 12,000 career yards and 1 touchdown away from 100 touchdowns in his career. I think they're trying to push it a little bit, and he's not really getting it. But I got to give him credit for not getting ejected against the Saints this year, because usually he gets ejected when he crashes out against Marshawn Lattimore.
Yep.
So shout out to him for staying in
But he
the
also
game.
got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he was kind of in and out of the game. He didn't look fully healthy. So, all right, I'll let you talk about this one. Take it away.
In Denver, we had the Los Angeles Chargers come and win. Unfortunately, it was terrible. I don't even know really what to say. Pat Surtain going out, we talked about this, is huge. He's basically our entire defense, and whenever he goes out, everything is thrown off kilter. So that hurt a lot, and when you can't stop the run at all, that doesn't help. So Bo Nix had 40 yards until the fourth quarter, and then he threw for 150. So I don't know. Back to usual scheduled programming for the old Denver Donkeys. I'm sad again. I was happy last week. I don't know what our thing is about beating good teams and losing the bad teams. Can we just lose the games we're supposed to lose and win the games we're supposed to win?
No.
That would be cool.
Way too easy.
Because that's what the NFL is.
Yeah, I think that's all I got. I don't want to talk about it.
But impressive that you guys came back. If you guys play like you do in the fourth quarters of most of these games, you guys are a decent football team. I think Cortland Sutton had an amazing catch at the end of the game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
2 chances and an onside kick for Sean Payton and the boys to get the ball back. Justin Herbert played great in the first quarter, really quiet after that. So, I mean, the Broncos, there's some positives to take out of this, I think. So, not the worst feeling in the world, but obviously losing this to a division rival is tough.
Yes.
Especially when the coach if he has heart problems, sincerity, hope he's okay. But to a head coach that possibly might have shit himself.
Yeah, he was nervous, obviously, and
Yeah.
he shouldn't have been, I guess.
Yeah, he had no reason to be.
Yeah, no.
Maybe when Joey Bosa went out early in the before the game started, he might have.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's probably when I would have shit myself, too.
Yeah, if I was the coach, for sure. Joey Bosa, that's what he was probably doing. He probably came here thinking the Trump rally was today, but it was yesterday in Colorado, and he just left because he was like, why the fuck am I here?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Terrible. All right, move on from that game. Steelers-Raiders. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Football. Steelers beat the Raiders. Cool. All right, move on to Dallas, where Jerry Jones celebrated his 82nd birthday
By getting his ass smacked.
by losing by 38 points to the Detroit Lions, who look like maybe the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. The Cowboys up there kind of with the Cardinals right now, the most confusing team in football. This is kind of just shocking. Like, I think going into it, everyone would tell you that the Lions are much better than the Cowboys. I don't know about,
47-9 better.
47-9 better than them. Dak looked like shit. He looked horrible. He could not do anything out there. I don't know. It's just the Cowboys are so wishy-washy with whether they come out and play good or play bad. And it's like there's no in-between where they have good games. It's like, last week I guess was kind of one against the Steelers, but you're the Cowboys and you have all these expectations. You don't need to be having close games with the Steelers. And then, this just looks like a team that is much better and then a team who thinks they should be much better but isn't really doing much to change it. So, I don't know. They just looked horrible.
Mike McCarthy might be on the hot seat.
Oh,
hey.
There's no might in that sentence.
Yeah.
He is.
Every year it's their year, And every year they kind of do the same thing.
Hey, at least if you go into work and they give you shit about the Broncos,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
two
I got
little
ammo.
Cowboys fans there.
They didn't even score a touchdown.
Nope.
So
Guess what you guys did this week?
scored a couple of them.
Couple of them.
Yeah.
At least.
They didn't score one.
Yeah. I like the Lions. I want them to do well. I think being the underdog forever, they've always been terrible. And because they have Tim Patrick, which he had a great
played
game.
great
I
today.
know, and I'm sick. I'm sick, bro. I'm sick of this.
No, shout out the Lions. Dan Campbell's awesome, obviously. Their offense coordinator, I just had his name. Ben Johnson, he's great. But I do have one gripe with him. I needed Sam Laporta to score one more touchdown today.
Yep.
They were beating the Cowboys so bad. They were trying to score touchdowns for their offensive and defensive linemen. And as awesome and as fun as that is, come on. I was one Sam Laporta touchdown away from substantially more money than I put in. And I think that's a big deal for me. So I have to look into Ben Johnson's tactics there and tell him to get back to the basics sometimes, okay? Because sometimes we just need the simple stuff. But they did beat the shit out of the Cowboys, so good for them. I think they might look like the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
So shout out to Detroit. Shout out to Flint, Michigan. Hope things are getting better. Shout out Eminem. Detroit is up right now,
And,
but besides their baseball team. Yes, and go ahead.
Prayers.
Prayers to Aiden Hutchinson. My pick for Defensive Player of the Year. Came into this week leading the league in sacks and then broke his tibia today and had to go into emergency surgery. So bad loss for the whole sport of the NFL in general. And then, bad loss for the Lions too. So prayers, hope he gets healthy as soon as possible. It's just Lions are one of the most fun teams to watch. So thank God for them, being who they are now rather than where they were 10 years ago. So shout out to Detroit Lions. And the last game on the slate, you take it away.
Yeah, no, the Falcons go 3-0 in their division right now. They beat the Panthers today 38-20. And honestly, if this guy doesn't slide on a pick six, it's a lot worse. So I don't know. It's fun to be a Falcons fan. I mean, I've been talking about it for weeks. We're actually very, very good right now. We're 4-2, 2-0 on the road. I just love the team. I love what we do. We started out a little slow today, but I mean, it was one of those games where you watch it and you know that the Falcons have it kind of all the whole time. So I'm excited to see how they keep moving, keep pushing forward. Like I said last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that, their beginning of their schedule was really tough. And so every time I talk about the Falcons' easy beginning or hard beginning schedule, the Dodgers do something great. So I got you. Or something happens that's great or not great for somebody else. But anyway, the Falcons.
Keep talking about it.
But yeah, I think they're kind of rolling right now. Tyler Algier is maybe getting out there with one of the best backup running backs in the game. Bowling ball. It's kind of hard to bring him down. But if we keep this momentum, I think we're going to be all right. I think we're going to beat the Panthers next time we play them. I think between the Buccaneers and the Saints, I think we'll lose to one of them. I think it'll be the Bucs in Tampa. And I think we'll sweep the Saints because, I don't know, I just feel like the rivalry we carry over. I think we'll be all right. So I think I could see the Falcons finishing, what would that be? That'd be 5-1 in their division and kind of making an easy trip to the playoffs, where if we could win one game, I'd consider that a success, especially with how we've been doing. Even going is a success, but I think we're getting to the point where we need to look at ourselves as maybe one of the better teams in the NFL, like top 15 type teams.
Oh, easy.
Top 10.
I'd say top 10.
So it's weird to say that because we've been so mediocre for so long.
But it's fun.
But it is fun.
It's fun to say
it's
that.
Exciting.
Any thoughts on the Falcons versus the Panthers?
I mean, that's what I'm surprised the Panthers played so well, honestly, for the fact that you just said, the Falcons are definitely one of the top teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Algier took the majority of the carries this week. I thought that's pretty interesting. But no, I don't think anything really noteworthy from your boy.
My only gripe, shout out to Falcons. What a win. Panthers, way to play. Way to hang in there with a good football team like the Atlanta Falcons. My only gripe is with Matthew Judon. I had a first touchdown better on a bet on Bijan Robinson. And the Panthers got the ball. They were going to kick a field goal, and then Matthew Judon was offsides. And Deontay Johnson ended up scoring and getting the first touchdown. Yep. Falcons hike right down the field, and Bijan Robinson, of course, scores. Matthew Judon, you and Ben Johnson are going to get calls this week. Maybe in your Instagram DMs, maybe somewhere, but we're going to have to talk. That was very disrespectful. And the fact that he does it with all the long sleeves on, like, come on.
It's hard, man.
Yeah, I guess.
You trying to talk to me about this?
You're the most noticeable. You're the most noticeable guy, and you're wearing long sleeve shirts, and you're offsides. Like, if you're wearing short sleeve shirts, maybe they don't see the color past the football. But
that's how that works.
Maybe, I don't know. It's just a diversion of the eyes. But what a win by the Falcons. That they look great. What a 4-2.
Uh-huh.
So, if you told me 2 years ago that the Falcons and Bears would be two of the top 12 teams in the NFL right now, I'd look at you crazy, but but that's what the NFL is all about. So, what another great week. Bengals versus Giants right now. Mm-hmm. Good luck, Fitzgerald. So obviously you'll know the result from this game once this comes out, or before this comes out. But good luck to you guys nonetheless. Mm-hmm. Good luck to you guys as Yankees as well. But Bengals Giants today, and then Bills at Jets tomorrow. So real quick, what a weekend for New York sports.
Yeah.
Mets obviously playing right now in the NLCS. Yankees at home in the Bronx in the ALCS tomorrow. And then two primetime games in East Rutherford, New Jersey at MetLife, being the Giants today or tonight, and then the Jets tomorrow. So how cool.
Pretty cool.
Honestly, for New York. So coolest thing to happen in New York since they arrested Eric Adams.
There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you were going there.
I would never say that on air. Other than that, do you guys have anything you want to add? Not even NFL related, but just before we wrap this up.
No, just don't take for granted the football we have left. It's going to be over before you know it.
I'm sad.
Caden's sad. We did find a cool hat for him today.
The Crab Rangoon
It has a Colorado Rockies logo, but it says Crab Rangoon.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that one.
He has to get it. All right, if you've made it this far in the episode, stop what you're doing and do us a favor. One, go shop Burp Energy Bars. Use code ROCKSOLID. You hear it in the middle every time. I know. I could see some of the people who watch these.
You need it.
Go buy some. Help us out.
Some caffeine.
You help yourselves out. It's a good product. Seriously, like we have them here, and it helps us out. Make sure you go follow all the socials up there, like, comment, subscribe on the video if you've made it this far, and then again, last thing, do us a favor, comment what we should be for Halloween, because I've been trying to think about this forever. We all have, I think, for a decent amount of time. We have no Halloween ideas.
No.
Help us out if you have any ideas for us. Shoot them over here. Put them in the comments, Instagram comments, wherever you want to put them. So, other than that, as of right now, we're planning on recording 2 episodes next week. One just regular scheduling like this, and then one NBA preview to come out in the middle of the week for you guys. So we're looking forward to doing that, and hopefully we can get it done and done well. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Salutations. Texas is the number 1 team in the country. And go tell somebody you love them. You might just make their day. Peace.
Peace.
I'm